One thing I noticed while going on this journey, right, just a picture this, I'm in the beginning, it's understandable because, for such a long time, I had so many symptoms that I didn't know what the hell was going on, and I'm finally finding the answer. When before that, I was, researching every day for 8 hours for years and years and years, going down all these rabbit holes and spiraling out of control and getting worse and worse and worse, right? Going to naturopaths and joining the Facebook groups and joining these realities that were all bullshit and horrible for you. They made things worse, and they're making you take these supplements and protocols that are just bombing the gut, and everybody's trying to heal the gut. Everybody's like, you got genetic defect, you got a microbiome issue. What else is there? Oh yeah, you have the mitochondria's out of whack, right? You name it. Blood brain barrier, blood brain, right? You name it. You go down these rabbit holes, and with histamine intolerance, mast cell activation syndrome, everybody's like, okay, it's okay. So if this is here, you got to put that there, and you got to bring that. Okay, and you got the T cells here, and you got to take antihistamines. You got to have certain special kidneys supplements, and then you got to get real kidneys that are flash frozen, and you got to make sure that, right? There's so many bullshit protocols, and it's a lot of brainwashing, and it's produced by a lot of people that are scared, are trying to fix things like crazy, chasing symptoms. Naturopath type people, or just people that are looking to make money off supplements and protocols. And half of them, actually, I would say most of these people aren't even recovered themselves. That's number one. Number two, 99% of those people have never been through any of this shit. Right? They've never had anxiety, PTSD. They never had gut issues. They never had OCD looping thoughts. And they're putting you on medication. They're putting you on these supplements, right? Or they're making you detox on these crazy detox protocols, which is all bullshit, right? Your body is able to heal and it knows what to do. But the thing is, what we got to do is we got to recalibrate your body using your mind. So bringing your baseline down, because you're in a survival state of fight or flight, and you're hardwired there and you're stuck there. It's an old program of survival. And when you're in a program of survival, nothing's going to work properly. You're overwhelmed. You're buffering, right? Things are, you got your internet's slow. You're pulling 747s like this, and you think anything's going to work properly plus keep you alive? Yeah, forget it. Something's got to give. You're going to get symptoms, right, that manifest. And you got alarms ringing everywhere. Your security system's putting on alarms because it's going, Mayday, Mayday, we got to keep them alive. But, right, I can only do so much, and the only thing I can do is keep them alive. But detoxing, forget about it. Digestion, forget about it, right? And let's put all the alarms up as sensitivities, because sensitivities are there for a reason. They're there to stop everything from coming in, and they're also there to let everything out. Well, what do we do? Well, we know that in this program, the alarm system reset is we bring the baseline down back to zero, right? Because all these years it's moved up. Your baseline's moved up. It's supposed to be at zero, right? Your alarm system is supposed to be on standby, right? But all these years you had that toxic relationship, you had the shitty job, trauma as a child, right? You had surgery, medications, you smoked a lot, you drank a lot, you partied a lot. You've been through some shit, life threw you curveballs, so then that brought the baseline up, right? That narcissistic ex-girlfriend you were with for 10 years, right? Well, that did a number on you. And now this is your new baseline. And the new baseline is a survival state. So the brain is perceiving that there's still that tiger on your back that wants to eat your head off, even though there isn't. You could be in the middle of Costa Rica on a beautiful beach for a month, and your brain is still playing that old program. So we got to recalibrate. We got to change it to a new program that's not in a survival state. Bring that baseline down, right? We got to empty that bucket, because that bucket over the years have been adding on loads, right? All these 747 loads that you've been adding on and holding on to and not letting go and not emptying this bucket, right? Right? Now, this is where I am at now, right? It took me 2.5 years to empty this bucket, because it collectively started adding up throughout the years, right? I'm 45. This probably took me on and off. It was going like this throughout my life, right? Symptoms started to happen around here, right? This is the sweet spot. This is the threshold where symptoms started to pop up. And then, whoa, ex-girlfriend, and then shitty work environment, and now it's overflowing, right? And all it took was one little drop, and it also went poof, like a switch. I got 2 safe foods. I got histamine intolerance, mast cell activation syndrome, chronic fatigue, right? You name it. 70 symptoms, right? How much was that? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, right? Probably more. I just lost count at 70. So, okay, we know. We got to bring the baseline down. We got to recalibrate, turn off alarms, right? We got to empty that bucket, right? So that your body's able to do its thing, and that is heal, right? It's not overworked. It's not going, fuck, man, I can't do all this. You're piling on all this work. I can't, you know what I mean? Pretend you're like this little car, right? And it's pulling a 747, and you got 4 people in it, and you're wondering why the tires are popping. Well, it's because it's pulling a 747. It was never meant to pull a 747, but it's still doing it, right? Your body is keeping you alive still, and you're piling on more homework and more shit to do. Oh, can you just one more thing? Can you, right? You get, now all of a sudden you get sick, and you get a flu, and it's lasting like 3 months and 5 months, when it should be, for me now that I'm empty, baseline's at 0, right? My alarms are off. When I get a cold, I probably get it for 3 hours, and I feel maybe 2% of it. So I barely feel it. I make it a half a sniffle, and it goes back in, gone, right? Tumbleweeds, nothing. Echo, right? But to another person, it's carrying all these loads, right? And you're in a survival state, hardwired there. And it's been how many years that you've been in a stress response, right? 30 years of just stress. And it's the kind of stress that you don't even know about. That's what's so crazy about it. Stress can be silent because your brain is protecting you from feeling it. So you could be feeling anger all the time. You're dealing with a bad relationship. You're working a lot of overtime. You hate your job. You hate your boss. You hate your coworkers. You took a lot of medication, you did surgery, you had, all these things. You started drinking a lot, smoked a lot of cigarettes, took a lot of drugs, right? Just name it. Just think about anything that affects your body and mind negatively, fills up your bucket, brings up your baseline to a survival state, right? And that's why people, this explains why we become sensitive. When you're like this, when you're fucking compromised, right? When you're like, right? You're so compromised, you're overwhelmed, you're carrying these huge fucking loads, you're holding on to dear life and keeping you alive, and then you add on, a flu, you add on COVID, you add on, you're in a house and there's mold in there, right? You add on, you get bit by a tick, now you got Lyme disease. You add on fucking food sensitivities, right? You're so fragile, your brain's trying to keep you alive, that anything that happens to you, it's like you're really sensitized. All of a sudden you have all these sensitivities that you never had before, right? You can't be around cell phones. You have EMF sensitivity. Where did that happen, right? But if you were regulated, right? Baseline down, bucket empty, alarms off, none of these things would even touch you. They wouldn't be nothing. Nothing would be nothing. But when you're bunged up and you're in an alarm state, baseline's at 1,000, anything can affect you. Anything could trigger a stress response from the tiniest little thing. Collectively, the loads add up. Collectively, right? And this is where something's got to give. This is where all the water droplets throughout the years, right? And they all add up to one big load, one big water drop, right? It's this massive load. And your body said, I fucking can't, man. I'm done, right? And that's when things like COVID, right, can knock you on your ass. That's why people when they get COVID, it lasts 3 weeks 2 months, 3 months. And then after it finally leaves, they have the after effects of it because the body's been so fucking bombed because the body's had all this load. It's up to here. It's like, I can't. And then you're like, oh, can you just process COVID? It's like, dude, no, I can't. Fuck. And it goes, right? You're like, oh, I'm still keeping you alive, though. Right? And it's going for fucking 3 months, right? This is where it finally leaves. It finally leaves. But you still had after effects because it's perceiving danger. All of a sudden, it dropped a bomb, right? It was like that last little drop, right? That last little, right? And your nervous system is now on fucking full-on alarm war mode. Everything is a threat now. Everything. Right? But just try to think. It's not COVID. It's not the COVID. It's not the mold. It's not the food, right? It's not the Lyme. It's not the EMF sensitivity. It's not the smells or the fragrances. It's none of those things, right? None of them. It's your limbic system is in a state of fight or flight. It's overwhelmed, right? And it's trying to keep you alive, right? That's its number one priority, is to keep you alive. And it throws on alarms and asks questions later. So you get these symptoms piling up, right? And you get sick, you get chronically ill because you're in this chronic state of fight or flight. What happens when you're in this state for such a long time because of that crazy ex-girlfriend or a crazy ex-boyfriend put you through some shit for 5 years, 10 years, even 1 year, right? And you've been in that crazy state. They've been gaslighting you, lying to you, making you feel this small, and right? And you've been angry. Life's not fair. Fuck them, those pieces of shit. I can't fucking believe they put me through this. And my gut, so it's like a ball in my gut, right? Then the brain keeps it there because the brain creates neural pathways, right? You got all this wiring. Your brain's neuroplastic. It's always changing, right? And it's changing in a way to make everything efficient. So like you ride a bike, creates a neural pathway so that after you rode your bike, you got this new skill, you got this new habit, you just tap into that highway, done. You don't have to relearn to ride your bike. And it's very efficient. You have to go, okay, load up that bike learning module, load it up, okay, now we can ride the bike. No, you ride it like a fucking pro, right? You ride that bike like a fucking pro with these neural pathways. It's like you rode it 10 weeks ago. It's like you rode it yesterday. It's like you rode that bike yesterday, even though you haven't ridden your bike in 6 fucking months or 10 years. Just think, the past 20 years of your life, you've been in a survival state and you didn't even know it. That's another thing. It happens behind the scenes and you might not need it, or you do know. You'd be like, oh yeah, buddy, I'm fucking stressed, been through some shit in my life. Holy fucking shit, right? And then there's the people that just don't know about it because the brain is able to protect you, right, from feeling some certain things. When all of a sudden it explodes, it's in your face. You got OCD ruminating, OCD looping, intrusive thoughts, right? You got anxiety, chronic panic attacks, right? You got PTSD. Everything triggers you, right? Any sound, any thought, anything, it just drives you to the moon. And you loop on it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and you're trying to get away from these thoughts, right? You're like, no, I don't like this. And the more you do it, what you resist persists. When you do this, the thoughts get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just a crazy shit show of suffering. And it's relentless. And it feels like when you're barely getting any air, you're underwater and you're surviving 5 seconds. Every 5 seconds, you're like, okay, I'm good for now. Okay, no. Well, am I going to live in 5 seconds? Like, you're not living second by second. You're living every 5 seconds, which is even worse. At least with second by second, you're like, I don't care. Like, next second, I could be dead. No, I'm alive. Oh, I'm alive. Oh, I'm alive. But with 5 seconds, it's like, okay, I made it. Oh, here. Okay, I made it. Oh. It's insanity. It's insanity. Trying to survive every 5 seconds. It's like a continuous insanity loop, right? And that's what happens eventually when it passes that threshold, because life threw you curveballs. It wasn't your fault, right? It's not your fault. You pass that threshold, it starts to overflow. It's like a switch goes on. All of a sudden, you have these food sensitivities. You have all these symptoms and pains and fibromyalgia and fucking pelvic floor pains and muscle cramping, and your face goes numb and your speech starts to slur, and you got knee pain and back pain, and all of a sudden you got, with me, I had 2 safe foods that I could only eat. All of a sudden I was allergic to all foods. Does that exist in this world? Is that even, am I a freak show? No, freaks don't even get that. Freaks are getting jealous. They're like, right? They're jealous. They're like, I'm tapping out, buddy. That's fucking crazy. And you have that. And that scares me. And I'm way over here being a freak. Right? And then with me, I'm like, usually when you see somebody else deal with that, it's uncomfortable. You're like, man, I feel sorry for that guy. But holy fucking shit. I'm going through that. Going through that, right? And you try to convince yourself, no, this is a movie. I'm dreaming right now. I'm going to snap out of it. Holy fuck, it's still there. Holy fuck, it's still there. I'm having this shit still happening to me. And you can scream all you want. You can be in a room screaming on the top of your lungs, and your reality is the same. Nothing changes, right? In that moment, nothing you can do will change it. Actually, it's getting worse. So I had these 2 safe foods, right? And I went from eating all the foods in the world. I'm half Mexican. Right, I eat tomatoes, I eat hot sauce, I eat fucking avocados, right? And all of a sudden the next day, you can't eat any of that. I'm also German. I can't have sauerkraut? What the fuck's going on? So I had 2 safe foods. Beef and rice. Right? And here's the thing. It doesn't matter if one guy had COVID, another guy had mold, another chick had lyme. Another person had, something else that happened that triggered a stress response, and now they got 50 symptoms, right? The only difference here is where the last drop triggered it, right? Who flipped the switch? Who was the last person to drop that last water droplet in this massive bomb going off? Because all these other things are irrelevant, and you'll notice that a lot of people that are in a survival state of fight or flight, a lot of them have similar symptoms. How's that possible? What does that tell you? Right? The guy that had Lyme has almost the same symptoms as the guy that had long COVID. How does that make sense? Right? A lot of similarities. But here's the funny thing. Put a guy with Lyme and another guy with Lyme together. They're somewhat similar. Shouldn't they be exactly the same, the symptoms? No, because everybody has a different variation of symptoms. No matter what it is, what you have. When it affects the limbic system, everybody's a little bit unique in how it manifests. Right? But here's a kicker. Here's a good thing. Here's the good news. The fix is the same for everybody. Across the board, it's the same shit. The fix carries across the whole spectrum. Right? It works for everybody. Doesn't matter how you got here, how special you think you are, what story you got going on for you, or where it started, and go, well, yeah, that's sad that he went through that, but no, this is different though. Everybody's different. Horseshit. The only thing that makes you different is your name, the soul that's inside of you, and how you got here. But the fix is the same across the board. And it's not the Lyme, it's not the mold, it's not the food. What else do I got? It's not the long COVID. It's not the COVID, right? It's not the EMF. It's not the mast cell activate. It's not anything. It's not none of those things. It's your nervous system is compromised, and it's setting off alarms, and it's sensitive. It's hypersensitive, right? It's perceiving danger everywhere to keep you alive. It's doing its job, actually, right? So when you have mass activation syndrome, right, you're all of a sudden you're reacting to everything, or histamine intolerance, and you're acting to everything, is because you're in a survival mode, right? And that food, for now, is being on lockdown. It's banned. It's off limits. You can't enter, buddy. Sorry. And if you do enter, you're leaving, right? And we're going to show you that food is being perceived as dangerous by the reactions that we're going to give you. Right now, it's on the danger zone. Right now, that food and that food and that food and that food and that mold and that blah, 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 blah is all on the danger zone. They're all on a danger list, right? It's like immigration, right? Are you a drug dealer? You're off the list. You can't come in. Get out of here, right? Oh, you got in? Let's throw them out, right? And it shows you by sending you reactions and symptoms and alarms. They're all alarms. Mayday, mayday, mayday. You go through a war zone. You got these symptoms that you're dealing with your body. It's a shit show, war zone, right? So what do you do? But then I tell people, it's not the mold. It's not the food, right? And it's definitely not long COVID. But then people are like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. It is the food. Okay, then prove it to me. Okay, well, how do you explain that when I eat tomatoes, I'm in a flare for 3 fucking weeks? It's not the food? Okay, you're an idiot. I'm not going to listen to this stupidity. This guy's a fucking idiot. Oh my God, man, get him off here. Oh my God, ban him, right? And then they'd rather go on this crazy bomb your gut protocol. Yes, you think it's the food because you have a reaction after eating that food, but it's that your body is compromised and very sensitive, right? Because it's holding loads up to here. Something's got to give, right? It's very sensitive. You're super sensitized, right? You're in a state of fight or flight, 1,000 instead of 0, right? Your body cannot handle any more loads, right? Allostatic loads, it can't handle them anymore. That's it. And then when you bring in a food, when the brain's already perceived it as danger, because we can't take any chances, because enough's enough. I got to keep you alive, and I'm perceiving everything as dangerous because that's the program I'm running right now. Because you've been through some shit. And this is where you can tell people, when they, by the symptoms, I can look at somebody's symptoms and go, yeah, you've been through some shit, eh? And they go, yeah, how do you know? Yeah, man, well, what happened? What do you mean? How'd you know that? Oh my God, you'll never find anybody who has symptoms that has lived a calm life. That doesn't happen. Symptoms don't come from the air, right? They don't just, you don't just get sick with 70 symptoms and have histamine intolerance, mast cell activation syndrome, just because your name's Rick, right? Or Janice. My name's Janice. Oh my God, I'm fucked up now because just for the hell of it. Oh my God, how was your life? It was amazing. I was the happiest person in the world. Oh my God, nothing ever happened, right? That doesn't happen. You've been through some shit over and over and over again to make that baseline go to 1,000. And then it was there long enough for the brain to keep it there. Now this is your new baseline. Normally what's supposed to happen, right? Normally what's supposed to happen is, you're 3,000 years ago, you're in a tribe. And you're hanging out with your tribe buddies, right? And then all of a sudden, a bear comes up out of nowhere. And your baseline in that second goes from 0 to 1,000. It has its job there. You're supposed to either kill that bear, right? It's a survival mechanism. You either fight or flee, right? So in that second, when that bear is there, you're either running with your tribal buddies to get away from danger, or you're going to fight danger. And your body's ready. It's going, okay, let's go. Adrian, it's here. Adrian, right? So after that's been resolved, let's say you killed the tiger or the liger. The liger's dead. Your security system is in fight or flight. Eventually, within 10 minutes, it goes back to 0 and it's on standby. Scanning. Right? On standby, just in case. Right? Goes from 0, 1,000, back to 0. We're calm again. The body's able to regulate. Right? It's catching up on some shit that it didn't do yesterday because there was a tiger around. Okay. But now it's, now it's caught up. Everything's caught up. It's not behind on anything. It's able to heal. Everything's detoxed. It's running on all 8 cylinders efficiently. Right? It's efficiently. Right? It's doing this. It's like, yo, dude, we've digested everything and I got time to do this. Right? We're just chilling. Right? Like villains. So that's the way you're supposed to be. Right? And that's why in that moment when you're regulated and you were in a house that had mold in it, you would feel nothing. Your brain wouldn't perceive danger. It wouldn't need to because it can handle it. It's able to process those toxins, right? And the brain goes, not dangerous, we're good. EMFs, what's an EMF? I don't know what that feels like because I ain't feeling shit. And it's not affecting you in a negative way, right? Certain smells, not affecting you in a negative way. Certain foods, not having any effects on your body. Gluten, no problem. And this is where what we've been brainwashed with is that this food's dangerous, this food's dangerous, this food's dangerous. You can't eat that. We have to avoid this because this happens. I get a reaction when I eat this, right? We blame the food. This is where we get confused. And it's not the food. Right? If we were regulated and we ate that same food that you're reacting to, it would do nothing. Because the brain took that off the danger zone, the danger list, right? It has its papers. It's allowed to cross, right? Immigration's going, you have your papers, you can cross now, right? It crosses, no problem. You can eat truckfuls of that food, whatever that food is that normally triggers you. You can eat truckfuls of it and feel amazing and thrive. But when your security system is on guard, right? And it's got the spotlights looking for any invaders, because everything's an invader now, right? It's got barbed wire everywhere. It's got snipers, right? Right? Because any invader that comes through, even if it's perceived, right, in your a couple weeks ago as safe, we don't care because we're on lockdown, right? When the brain's locking out the system and going, no, we're on lockdown, nothing's coming in, everything's going out. Anybody comes in, we're shooting them dead, right? That's what's happening. And that's why the sensitivities go up and the body's able to filter what's safe and what isn't safe. It's got a beautiful mechanism. It's brilliant. It knows how to do it. It goes, oh, boom, out, sensitive. It's out, gets out. Well, you'll have papers, get out, right? I do have papers. I don't care. Still go out, right? It doesn't matter. It's like, but I have my papers. Get out of here, right? You're out. You're done. Doesn't matter if you have papers. It's not taking any chances. It asks questions later. It throws on alarms first. So remember, when you're having things like long COVID, it's because something's got to give, right? You're compromised. The body's keeping you alive. It's processing it, right? It's processing it, but it's buffering, right? You got like slow internet. You got too much shit on your fucking computer. You got to take some shit out. You got to delete some files, man. Right? When you ever have it when you have your phone, it's working really slowly. It's going, or you can't run something because you got too many fucking pictures of your cat on your phone. Right? Well, you got to delete some shit. You got to let go of some of those loads. And this is where I come in. I teach you how to reset your alarm system. We empty your bucket. We empty the loads. Same shit. Right? We bring down your baseline so it's back down to reset, standby. And then we turn off alarms along the way by how we respond. And then when that happens, after that, your body's finally caught up and it's able to heal. Right? And when it heals, you recover and then you restore. You recalibrate. Body's able to catch up, starting to heal. All of a sudden, things that you never thought would go away. And not only that, things start to heal that you didn't know you had a problem about, right? All of a sudden, you have clear vision. You're like, how did that happen? I didn't know I was okay with it being blurry. That's why I have glasses. And all of a sudden, you don't need your glasses anymore. All of a sudden, fill in the blanks, that symptom that you totally forgot about clears up. Because now the body and the brain, right, they've caught up to everything, and now they can concentrate on extra things that it's been neglecting for so many years. Right? It's able to do that. Does that make sense? Right? Because it does make sense. It all makes sense. So that's why you'll see people like me, now that I'm regulated, I can be around a bunch of people that have all kinds of viral infections, flus, COVID, and I won't get it. I might feel 2% of it. Right? My daughter, she comes from school, she gets some stuff. My wife, my dad, my family, friends, people out in public, I never get sick. Because my baseline's at 0 and it's able to process whatever's out there with ease. It goes, all right, we got this going around now. Oh, it's flu season. Okay, we got this going around now. Goes in and out, right? It's not going, oh, fuck, I got so much shit to do. All right, bring it in. Fuck, we're going to be fucked for the next 3 weeks. Right? And then the person's bedridden, they're sick, they got tissue papers, runny nose, they're all fucked up with, headaches, and they can't go to work, and, COVID. Oh, fuck, here we go, right? And then it gets all complicated with long COVID, and they got all these crazy symptoms, 70 symptoms. It's a shit show. They got a cough that lasts them 6 months. How does that happen? Right? They have these weird symptoms that don't make any sense. It's because your body's overwhelmed and it can't process. It can't catch up. And that's where I come in. This is where I put you on the alarm system reset. You totally regulate your limbic system, your nervous system, all the loads, and all the sensitivities go away. All your mental alarms, right? Anxiety, PTSD, OCD, looping thoughts, depression, you name it, right? The intrusive thoughts, ADHD, ADD, right? The OCD, right? It's only there. OCD is only there to get you to scan for danger, right? Because it's a survival mechanism. It's there to protect you. So the brain sends these certain things to protect you, and it's doing its job. You don't have a mental illness. There's nothing wrong with you, right? You're just running a survival program, and the brain's working overtime to keep you alive. It's doing its job. It's fucking brilliant. So this video could double up as the same shit that people go through for mold, right? And Lyme and COVID, right? And then when the people say, but why is it that when I'm near mold, I get fucked up? It's because your bucket's full. It's become a sensitivity, but it's not the root of your problem, right? You're just chasing symptoms, right? You're reacting to something, and then you see, oh, I'm near mold, so you blame the mold when it's not the mold, right? And then people get confused. Well, maybe it's the food. Well, I did have COVID. Maybe I have long COVID. Maybe I got bit by a tick. Right? And you'll notice that a lot of people who have any one of these things, and there's many other things that could put you over. It doesn't have to be any of those things. It could be that you had surgery. You could have just went through a nasty divorce. Somebody in your life might have passed away. You might have went through some crazy trauma, right? And all of a sudden, your body, like a switch, goes through this breakdown, right? And it's perceiving danger, and it goes through a survival state. And all of a sudden, you got 70 symptoms, right? So a guy that just finished surgery might get 70 symptoms, just like a guy that just went through an ordeal with mold or long COVID, and they can get 70 symptoms that are very similar to each other. And at the end of the day, that tells you it's not any of those things, but how the body is reacting to the bomb that went off, right? After you have the Lyme and you got it treated with antibiotics, right? The bomb went off. There was a bomb that went off, and the body's still reacting accordingly to it. So you have unwanted symptoms, and all you got to do is recalibrate. You got to regulate. That's it. And it's hard work. Yes, it is hard work. But as long as you do it and you stay on the path, the brain has no choice but to change, and you will regulate. A lot of similarities that you might see in a lot of these different things like mold, Lyme, or, COVID, or, whatever, X, Y, Z. You fill in the blanks, right? You know what? I'm curious to see. Put it in could it be medications? Here, I almost forgot about that. Antibiotics, right? There's so many things that could trigger you to be in the survival state and get all these symptoms pop up. It doesn't have to be the typical ones. There's other ones. There's many other ones. So maybe put down in the comments what you think triggered your perfect storm. Put it in the comments so that people can see that and go, interesting. That makes sense. Because I'm sure there's hundreds and hundreds of different things that could trigger the perfect storm. And a perfect storm meaning you get the right combination where it builds a storm, right? You get the the warm and the cold weather patterns that come together, and then boom, you got a tornado or a hurricane or XYZ type of storm with winds and rain, and it's just causing havoc, right? It's destroying homes. It's just destroying everything in its path, right? And that's what happens. You get the right combination of curveballs that life throws at you, and it builds the perfect horrible storm, the perfect shit show storm. That's a bomb that goes off, right? Eventually, it's just, throughout life, you're just adding more to the storm, right? And it starts getting bigger, and this ball just goes like this, and it goes like a supernova. And there you go, 70 symptoms. You're bedridden, chronically ill, right? And some people have been like this for many years, and they've been doing all kinds of coping mechanisms so they can cope and manage it. But these coping mechanisms and trying to manage it just reaffirms to the brain that the alarm that it sent was correct. So it keeps that alarm on, and people stay sick, and people stay stuck. And it becomes chronic, and it stays. But we can break that cycle by resetting the alarm system.